How are you? Good, you?
Says the job. Welcome. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. First thing, off script, as they say. We are live streaming this event. The camera is back here where Clint Sears is. Thank you, Clint. And that camera is pointing right in my face. So we would like to keep this aisle clear with the exception of the con and the pro mics. Please. Thank you. I am pleased to introduce the members and guests seated at the head table. At my far left, our Vice President, Paul Brown, our professional registered parliamentarian, Susan Eads Roll. To my right, our Executive Director, Barbara Cassidy, our Executive Assistant, Sarah Stevens, and Secretary-Treasurer, Paul Adams. Thank you. First item of business is a report on the quorum. Chair recognizes Mr. Adams.
Mr. President, we have representation of an RPT count of 1,049, representing 51%. Required is 40, so we do indeed have a quorum.
Question is on the motion to adopt the Secretary's report as presented. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. May I remind everyone that this is an official meeting of the Piano Technicians Guild, and as such, it will be conducted in accordance with all bylaws, regulations, code, and antitrust policies of the PTG, as well as all federal antitrust bylaws of these United States. PTG antitrust policies can be found Section 1-A of Board Policies. I believe we also have a copy of them in your opinion. Maybe we do not. Another Board Policies, Section 1, letter A. Next item of business is the adoption of Council Standing Rules. Council Standing Rules are printed on page 108 of the program. I intend to read these rules. Council agenda may be amended before adoption by general consent or by majority vote. After adoption of the agenda, after adoption the agenda may only be amended by 2/3 vote. I will read that again. The council agenda may be amended before adoption by general consent or by majority vote. After adoption, the agenda may only be amended by 2/3 vote. Time set for recess or adjournment may be changed by majority vote of council. Under motions, the main motion and amendments must be put in writing and handed to the secretary. Speakers should use a microphone at all times. Point of order should be raised only to draw attention to the council to the fact that something has just happened, is happening, or is about to happen, which is in violation of the laws of PTG or the parliamentary rules adopted by PTG. A point of order must be raised immediately as the situation demands it, and at the proper point will be given priority attention to the presiding officer. Questions regarding procedures may be raised at the microphone as the situation demands and will be handled properly by the presiding officer. Dilatory motions and questions raised to delay the session will not be accepted. Under debate is limited to 2 minutes per member or on any one debatable motion. Member may not speak again to a motion if another member who has not spoken desires the floor. There's a small change to this bullet coming up. A member who wishes to speak a third, not a second, but a third time or more may do so by general consent of the council or by 2/3 vote. So we're going to change the word second to third. In other words, everybody's going to get 2 chances to speak, but the third time will require the 2/3 vote from this floor. A member who wishes to speak longer than the 2 minutes may do so by general consent of the council or by 2/3 vote. Total debate time for any one debatable motion by council is 10 minutes. This may be extended by general consent or by 2/3 vote. Voting cards must be used in order for your vote to count. Question is the adoption of the proposed council standing rules. Excuse me? As corrected. The correction being on the second bullet under debate. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Just going through this part for just a second. The next item of business is adoption of regional caucus rules. Regional caucus rules are printed on page 601 of the program. Unless there is an objection, the rules will not be read at this time. Question is on adoption of the proposed regional caucus rules found on page 601. Is there any debate? Question is on the adoption of proposed regional caucus rules. Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Regional caucus rules will govern the proceedings of the caucus meetings. The next item of business is the adoption of the agenda. The agenda is on page 101. I'm requesting one correction to the agenda. On page 102, letter D, long-range planning, which is the governance task group presentation. I'm asking that that be moved to page 104 and make it Roman numeral 11. That will be taken up tomorrow after the budget. That will actually be the last item that we do tomorrow. Is there any objection? Hearing none. Question is on the adoption of the agenda as presented and amended. Those in favor will need to raise your voting cards. Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. Without objection, the chair appoints Larry Messerly, I believe. Is that correct?
That's how I spell it.
This is for the appointment of council minutes, and Larry got kind of roped into this one. It's Larry Messerly and Jim Coleman, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thought we had a third. Do we have a third for a volunteer? Can we ask this body that? I'm sorry.
Patrick Randall.
I'm sorry, I didn't recognize you from here. I'm sorry. Sorry. I shouldn't. I only spent 30 years with him on the board. I should recognize him. Larry Messerly will chair this, and he will be assisted by Jim Coleman and Patrick Drain. Those in favor of the appointment say aye. Aye. All opposed? Larry, I didn't hear you say anything.
I'm not allowed to vote.
item of business is the receipt of the annual reports of officers. The completed reports are on pages 201 to 218 of your agenda book. If there are no objections, the reports will not be read at this time. The question is to receive and file officer reports for information. Are you ready for the questions? Those in favor of the motion, raise your voting cards, please. Thank you. Put them down. All opposed? Thank you. Receive and file. Thank you. Next item of business is a receipt of the annual reports of standing committees. The completed reports are printed and contained on pages 301 to 314 of your agenda book. If there is no objection, the reports will not be read at this time. Question is to receive and file standing committee reports for information. Those in favor, please raise your cards. Those opposed? Thank you. Yes, sir.
Could we point out that 2 additional reports that are available
Those reports are, Mr. Sutton? No, they are. There's a report from the journal editor and the RPTV statement task group. They are on the back table. Thank you, Ed. If you did not receive them, you can get them at the first break. We won't be long before we get to the first break. Next is special committees and task groups. Letter B, page 102, special committees and task groups. Those in favor of receiving and file these reports, please raise your voting cards. All opposed? Thank you. All opposed? Thank you. Next item of business is receipt of the reports from the editor of the Piano Technician's Journal, which is now on the back, correct? It's on the back, it's on the back table back there. So at this time, we will, I'd like to suspend that one for right now. After the first break, I'm going to cover, we'll circle this one. If there's no objection. Is there any objection? Because if you don't have the report, has everybody seen the report? Okay, and then we'll take this one after the first break. So I'm going to ask you to circle this one for now. Thank you. Thank you for being accommodating for that one. Next is the foundation, reports from the editor.
Point of order, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Please.
Would it be possible to also delay approval of the other report that's on the back table, the RPT, State Task Force? Could you ask for that approval after the break, just like we are doing for the journal editor report? You understand what I'm saying?
Perfectly.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the presenter of the report, trying to get a nod either way. You've already approved it, though, Wim.
Yes, I understand that. I'm asking for an exception to the rule.
Is there some reason?
Since we haven't had a chance to review it, treated just like
Mr. Dornfeld, go ahead. Thank you, Wim. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
Just to point out, we have received one. It is in our vote.
It is.
The zoning code is incomplete. It's incomplete, but that's referring to further material which is not attached, which is now available in the back, which is quite significant in terms of
Okay, I would suggest that everybody has a chance to look at the correct version on the break, and then we'll review the vote after the break. Thanks, Wim. For once, thank you, Wim. Everybody understand? I think everybody gets that one. Okay, thank you.
it was pure evil.
Didn't see nothing yet. No, okay. Editor, Foundation, Executive Director. That's where we are right now. To receive reports from the Editor, Foundation, and the Executive Director. That's where we're at right now. Minus the Editor at this point. The Foundation and the Executive Director. See what happens when you don't get your stuff in on time? All in favor of receiving these two reports, please raise your voting cards. All opposed? Thank you. The next item of business is the consideration of proposed bylaw amendments. Chair recognizes Mr. Norman Cantrell, the Bylaws Committee Chairman.
Norman Cantrell, alternate from the Oklahoma chapter, speaking with permission of my fellow. How quickly we fall. Ain't it the truth to pass? I would respectfully ask for the chair to consider a short break to allow any delegates who were late to check in, 5 minutes to check in before bylaws are considered so their votes can be counted.
Granted. Take 5, literally, just take 5. Pick up the extra reports on the back table. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I want to go back to I want to go back to
It's through Periscope. Facebook has the link.
the journal editor report. Norm, you have to go forward. Is there any reason to reconsider the vote for approval of this particular document? Okay, I'm sorry. RPT reinstatement task group from Mr. Sutton. That's the first order. Please.
I'm sorry, sir. Ever since we got the break, I've been reading Ed Sutton's report, and I haven't even gone halfway through yet. I don't, and everybody else is taking a break. We have not had a chance to really thoroughly read the report. May I request that this is done even after our formal break of like 15, 20 minutes?
No problem.
Thank you.
Mr. Cantrell.
Bylaws proposal number 1, which is the bylaws proposal, not regulation of codes.
Speak into the mic, please.
Bylaws proposal, the first proposal is bylaws, not regulations and codes, page 402 of your minutes. This is from the Portland chapter. Their proposal is to amend Article 5, Section C, is strike any a registered piano technician, and then insert the word any member in good standing may join more than one chapter provided, and the rest of the language continues. There have been cases where it was very clearly spelled out that RPTs could be dual members, and associates, there was some ambiguity, and some instances where associates were informed that they did not have that, they were not qualified to do that. So this would clarify that and allow dual membership for all members in any, to be dual members of any chapter, regardless of whether they're RPTs or associates. Bylaws Committee concurs with the Portland chapter and recommends adoption.
Question is on the adoption of the resolution as read by the Bylaws Committee Chair. Is there any debate? This requires 2/3. Please come to the microphone, sir.
Jerry Cousins, Philadelphia. Would it be restricted only to the 2 or multiples beyond that? 2, 3, 4 chapters?
More than one. It says more than one.
It says do it. Anyone.
The title says dual is in the day. Are there any other questions or debate? Those in favor of the resolution raise the voting cards. This requires 2/3. Thank you. All opposed? Adoption passes. Number 2 bylaws proposal is under regulations. Membership Application Review Committee, page 403.
The source of this proposal was the Board of Directors. The new wording will read, the committee shall review objections to membership applications and the results of background investigations of applicants with past criminal records and determine whether membership applications shall be approved or rejected. The committee shall, within 14 days of receiving an objection, determine whether the criteria set forth in regulations, Article 3, Section 8 are met and transmit the determination to the home office. And everything else remains the same. Board comments, the current wording only allows chapter objections to membership applications. A chapter may have no idea whether an applicant's submitted form meets the criteria for denying membership. Removing the words chapter from the top paragraph but keeping the wording with regards to chapter objections allows objections from the home office without naming them specifically. The board recommends adoption, as does the Bylaws Committee.
Carl Lieberman, alternate, speaking with permission of my delegate. I'm the current chairman of membership application review, and I just want to say that this is in response to something that actually happened this year, and it will be a helpful improvement.
Patrick Drain, Boston chapter. I'll make for a slight clarification. So it says allows objections from home office without naming them specifically. My thought, or at least it was, that this is also allowing members who have some knowledge to communicate that to the home office. And so I'm just wondering if it's preferable to indicate that in the wording, or is it not? I'm just bringing that up. So it's can be indicated.
Not sure I understand, Patrick.
Really, it's in the explanation. I'll put it that way. The explanation, the board comments make it sound like by removing chapter, we're allowing objections from the home office. I would just say we're also allowing objections from individual members. Correct? But in terms of the wording of the proposal, it's one. Thank you.
Thank you.
When please, and don't forget, it's 2:30 in the morning. So what I say doesn't always make sense, but thank you for accepting my early proposal. I have a question regarding what Patrick was just saying, is that does the committee allow individuals to make comments without going through the chapter? I mean, is that allowable? So in other words, if it would be allowable, then you just propose it. Okay, but I mean, has that happened? I mean, would that be appropriate? Or would a chapter member, should a chapter member go through his or her chapter in order to voice an objection? That's the question.
Thank you.
Carl Lieberman, I think it would be better. We don't, this is a confidential committee, and when someone is objecting to a member's application, having to go through the chapter and first making it public at the chapter and then having the chapter refer it, I don't think is a good way to go. If someone has some objection to someone's application, I think the right thing is to very discreetly object to it and to move it directly into the committee and let it go through the process. And so I think that this is a simplification, and it makes a lot of sense to me. I don't see any reason. I think that was just kind of bad wording when we initially adapted it. Why a chapter has to be the complaining body.
Is there any further debate? This requires a simple majority. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you. Cancel.
Proposal number 3, also from the Board of Directors, to amend regulations and codes, Article 3, Section C2. Any member may apply for a reduction of dues if they have been a member in good standing of PTG for 10 or more continuous years at the time of application and have reached the age of 65 and are capable of drawing Social Security benefits or the equivalent, or have been declared medically disabled by the Social Security Administration or the equivalent. Strike number 3. Read number 4 to be number 3, have the approval of the chapter. D, member may request continued membership in one following way. Add members who meet the criteria in section C2 above and are still working in the profession may apply for 2/3 dues. Following submission of the appropriate form, the member may elect to pay PTG membership dues at 2/3 the normal rate, maintaining good standing and the journal subscription. This member shall receive all other member benefits. Members, number 2, members who meet the criteria in section C2A above and who are retired may apply for no dues. Following submission of the appropriate form, the member may continue membership and pay no annual dues by agreeing to pay a cost equivalent to the annual PTG journal member subscription fee or by declining to receive the journal. Board recommends, the board comments, as it reads now, the word significantly engaged are very ambiguous. There's no distinction in the present verbiage between 2/3 reduction and no dues, so the board recommends adoption, as does the bylaws committee.
procedures in that chapter. One question, it talks about chapter, can a member or a chapter do this, and can a member or a chapter request for a particular member? And to be honest with what I'm thinking about Larry Kraft, because of Larry's condition right now and everything that at some point for the chapter to recommend that to Larry or individual recommend what to do the procedure.
So the question, Clarence, is can the chapter do this, or does the individual member have to do this?
Can be both. Yeah, anybody could ask for 2/3.
As it's written, it appears anyone, as it's written. Sir?
Jerry Cohen, New Jersey chapter. It seems to me that maybe the intent is different, but what we've ended up with is if you're age 65, eligible for Social Security, whatever, you're eligible for a 2/3 dues. So just because you're age 65, etc. Where before it said you're no longer significantly engaged in any form of piano work. Now it doesn't matter whether you're significantly engaged. In other words, you could be full-time technician, you're age 65, meet the other 10-year requirement. Just because you're the age 65, you get 2/3. So I really don't understand why we're doing this. It's like suddenly anybody that's age 65 has been a member for 10 years now only pays 2/3. You meet the requirements. That's it. We're giving a dues reduction. And if that's what the intention is, if you're age 65 and been there for 10 years, and we want to say, okay, you're only going to pay 2/3, why just because we're age 65? Because, for example, I think as you get a little bit older, your business is more and more established, you're in better shape financially. This is a financial thing, not less. And we're putting the burden on young people to make up for the difference in the funds that we're going to be losing. It's the young people who haven't had the opportunity to establish a business that need, if anything, more help, not the older people. Now, an older person who is no longer in business, he's retired or no longer capable because of disabilities, that's something else. And that the way we had it before, are no longer significantly engaged in the form of piano work. That, I think maybe if the wording wasn't so good, but that is still the intent, there's something strange going on here. So the way this is being modified,
Jerry, time is up.
What, you can't hear the people?
No, I can't.
Jeff Dickey, Pacific Northwest Regional Vice President. Speaking to that point, the member of client must still have chapter approval. And if your chapter chooses not to grant that for that member based on whether you're not retired, that's entirely within your purview. That is a choice that you can make. It still does require that the chapter approve the application for reduction. And you're going to have to provide a reason. If they're not significantly engaged or are working less, the chapter will probably give it to them. If they're working full-time, they won't. It seems simple to me. I favor this proposal.
Will, please, I think because of the ambiguity, then you starting to get debate within the chapters. How much work is the man doing or the woman doing in regards to piano work? I think we need to leave something in there that it's more than just how much work is being done. I agree with Jerry. My business is better than ever. and I'm 71, and I'm not intending to retire for another couple of years, so I would pay full dues anyway. But I think we need to leave that language in there to let people know that it's not as easy as just getting some permission and I'm going to do this. So I'm opposed to the proposition.
It's something, Charlotte. I agree with what the committee has said, that item 3 under Article 3, Section C2A is ambiguous, it's not clear. But to simply strike it seems to be going too far. I would suggest that we send this back to the committee with a request that they provide something more clear to replace the sentence that they are striking. So my motion is to send it back to me.
Chief, referring it back to committee.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bremer. All in favor? All opposed? Goes back to committee. Go ahead, Mr. Cantrell.
Question for the President. Was this passed out to everyone, or can we get this on the screen?
Going to have to go on the screen, I can promise you that. Talking about proposal 4, tuning exam format.
While we're working on getting this on the screen, I'll explain what is happening. As you see in this proposal, EPS gave a version to this proposal, and in board comments, they recommended adopting the proposal but with an amendment. And rather than have us go forward, backwards, and sideways during pre-council board and following, what you now see on the screen is an amendment by substitution to clarify the proposal. The objection that the board had was that under retake options, the formula that was proposed was quite laborious and had the potential for scoring errors. And the board felt like a simpler proposal was in order. That's what reflected in their comments, and EPS provided an even simpler solution, and that's what you see. So this is an amendment by substitution from both ETS and the board. So, that in mind, I'll read it just so everyone can have a chance to get up to speed. Regulations and codes, Article 5, the RPT exam, Section A, requirements for passing the RPT exams. Number 4, to pass the RPT tuning exam, the candidate must score at least 80% in each section of the exam's 3 parts. Part 1 was with pitch, temperament, and mid-range sections, and Part 2 with bass, treble, and high treble sections, and Part 3 with unison and stability sections. A, all candidates must first take Part 1 tuning orally only and receive scores in pitch, temperament, and mid-range. B, following the evaluation of Part 1 scores, candidates may then proceed to Part 2 tuning the bass, treble, and high treble by any oral or electronic method. New number C, following evaluation of Part 2 scores, candidate may then proceed to Part 3, unisons and stability. Candidates must tune unisons and stability orally. Renumbered letter D, retake options. Any part of the tuning exam may be taken for 1/3 of the full exam fee. If part 2 is failed, parts 1 and 2 must be retaken together for 2/3 of the exam fee. New letter E, exam retakes may be taken one time within 1 year of the original exam without having to repeat those parts passed.
What is on the floor is the amendment as, I'm sorry. What's on the floor, do you have what is on, in other words, does everybody have this in their books, and does everybody understand what has been said by the bylaws chair? Do you intend to move your amendment by substitution? Sir.
It was my understanding that coming from 2 committees, that was the motion, not requiring a second. But if you need me to formally state that, the 2 committees are making this motion and coming from a committee do not require a second.
Correct. So what is on the floor is the proposal that is on the screen and this piece of paper that I have in front of me. Is there any debate at this time?
Just get up there.
Good reason why. The original proposal had it that the retake may be taken twice within a year, and it's now changed to one time. I'm opposed to this, the newest version. I like the 2-part thing. So I have a question as to why that was changed. And this is probably out of line, but why is that restriction there in the first place?
What restriction is that?
The one time, taking it one time, and then you have to take the whole thing again if you go past the
Are
second.
you going to address that, Mr. Fuller?
I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mark Woolen, Northeast Regional Vice President. I'm also the board liaison to ETSC. So to answer Wim's question, originally the exam was you had to take it in one shot entirely. In 1998, we were discussing this at breakfast, we changed it to allow one retake because of the way we came up with the unified exam. So one retake within 1 year, which then turned into one retake within 1 year, except if you take it at a convention or a regional organization, then you get a little bit more if the dates fall. So when this proposal came forward, I think ETSC began the process by stealing the language from the technical exam, which has always had 3 parts, and basically kind of cloned it. So when it got turned to the tuning exam version, it's only allowed 1 retake. So when we went through the language again, we changed it back to the 1 retake, which is the way it currently is. When we came up with the 1 retake initially back in 1998, a lot of people were upset saying, technical exam has multiple parts. You can go and do some repairs, you can go and do some regulation. The tuning exam is a little different. You go to Mrs. Jones's home, you can't tune a part here and then come back 3 weeks later and tune a part there and come back a month later and tune a part here. A lot of people said we should have 1 shot period, and a lot of compromise went on to get the 1 retake. Going to 2 retakes within 1 year is really pushing the envelope for the tuning exam.
Any further debate? All favor of this proposal, please raise your cards. All opposed? Motion passes.
Moving swimmingly right along. Proposal number 5 from the board. Warren? Yes.
Stop for a second, please. We have to take another vote on proposal 4 as amended by the substitution. I'll get it right the third year I'm president. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.
Proposal 5, exam version dates from the board. Article 5, Section E1(1). Revised exam shall become effective and be current upon board approval and distribution of revised exam manuals or manual updates to certified examiners or board approval and publication of revised written exam booklets by the home office. Every exam manual and booklet shall bear its effective date on the title page. Current exam sponsors and exam version dates should be posted in the member section of the PTG website, published in the Piano Technician's Journal and in PTG newsletter. So, the scheduling of exam sponsors from time to time in each region, it changes, and there's no mention of the above wording of exam version dates for examinees who need to check whether exams they have previously taken and passed are the current versions, referencing Article 5, Section A6, upon completion of the third exam, any exam that was passed more than 4 years ago, or 4 years prior to that exam, and is no longer current, must be retaken. So the board recommends adoption, as does the bylaws committee.
Is there any debate on this proposal? All in favor, please raise your cards. All opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Next item up is the election of officers, which is on or around 11 a.m. And I want to point out that it is now 8:55 by Mickey Mouse. We also have some requests to have some reading done. So it's correct, Wim? Is that correct? We'll take a short recess and allow everyone to read what needs to be read. Be back here at 9:15. Take a short recess to 9:15. Thank you. I'm going to ask you to look at page 102. There's 2 items that we need to clean up. Letter B, under letter B, RPT, reinstatement task group report. Already been adopted for filing. Does anybody want to reconsider the vote? Now we vote. No, we don't vote. We just move to the next item. And I parrot real well. The journal editor report. Do we need to reconsider this vote, Susan? No. We haven't voted on this one. This is for receipt and filing of the journal editor's report. All in favor? Please raise your cards. All opposed? Thank you. So letter number 3, Roman numeral 3 is now complete. Roman numeral 4 is now complete. We now move to Roman numeral 5, which normally takes place on or around 11 a.m. We are way ahead of schedule. Close enough, 9:30, close enough, right? Okay. The nominating committee report can be found on page 311. Nominations were received and the committee is pleased to select Phil Bondi as president, for vice president Paul Brown, and for secretary treasurer Paul Adams. Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none. For the office of secretary treasurer, Mr. Paul Adams. All in favor? All opposed? Mr. Adams continues as your secretary treasurer. For vice president, Paul Brown. All in favor? All opposed? Mr. Brown is retained as your vice president. For president, Mr. Phil Bondi. All in favor? All opposed?
Okay, you want me to vote against?
Thank you, Lynn. I will be retained as your president for another year. Thank you. We're just barreling through this. There's many nicknames coming my way for getting through this agenda as quickly as we are. So next up is the regional caucuses of RVPs and committee nominations. This normally gets done in the afternoon. We are ahead of schedule. Is there any objection to taking this way before 3 p.m.? The election of RVPs and committee nominations will commence. Mr. Birch, let's see you.
Mr. President, Jim Birch, Connecticut, with permission of my delegate. We have put times on the agenda specifically because we have run into problems in the past. The elections, it's the same officers, so I didn't see a problem here, but there are some perhaps people coming in for 3 o'clock because we have published the time, and these items, as they say, have been challenged in the past, but folks came because the time was published and they missed it, and so that we have held to the times posted in the agenda.
Understood.
It's a long lunch.
Carl Lieberman speaking with permission. I think what Jim is saying is obviously true, and I think it would be worth canvassing if anyone knows if someone is preparing for that event, because this is one of those years when we're just whipping through council, there's nothing really contested, and we could have the rest of the day off. And I think, unless someone knows of an actual instance where someone is planning to run for office or something at 3 o'clock, I think this would be a time to make an exception.
Bill Schultz from Ottawa Chapter. I don't think this is one of those things that you can make an exception for easily or no. The procedure of having an announced time, I call it procedure, is something that's anticipated and prepared for by people who may even be unexpected, who might be running for office. We've had this incident over the years, and it would be appropriate to figure out how to move this in the agenda
it doesn't have to be moved. We can go to other things before this, okay? I'm taking things in order, and all parties are definitely being heard, that's for sure. Okay, is that no problem? Good to see you, Bill.
Please again. By the same token, the election of committees is not until tomorrow morning, we have to wait until we get those nominations from the regional caucus at 3. Would it be possible are there any delegates registered that have not shown up yet? Do we know that information?
Yes, we do.
There are delegates that registered and
Have not shown up, so we are obligated then to wait. Okay.
Any further discussion on this?
Could we move that long-range planning presentation?
No, so that's already been adopted, Webb. Go ahead, Jack.
Jack Stebbins of Western Massachusetts. The council convened at 8 o'clock this morning. If the delegates are not here, I'm not sure that we need to hold up the progression of the council meeting to accommodate those who didn't appear when council started.
I'm going to make a suggestion that we move to item 9. Let me ask this. To accommodate those that may not be here yet, I'm asking that we go to chapter 9 and take that out of order. Is there any objection to do that? Total number of delegates that are not here yet.
23.
I know you can't ask it.
In the interest of being fair, trying to be fair, I would like to take letter 9. This shouldn't be. I'm hoping that number 9, Roman numeral 9, will not be take a lot of time, but at the same time allow for time. So, if with two-thirds of this voice saying that we'll take number 9 now, do I hear an affirmation for that for number 9? Any opposed? All right, we're going to go to Roman numeral 9 at this point. Chapter sustaining nominations on page 901. And it is nice to be ahead of schedule for doing this. First name is George King, RPT, Colorado Springs chapter. This is for chapter sustaining. All in favor, please raise your cards. All opposed. Next item for chapter sustaining is Wayne Matley from the Puget Sound chapter. All in favor? All opposed? item is Clarence Farmer from the Roanoke, Virginia chapter as chapter sustained. All in favor? Please raise your cards. All opposed? And again, with 2/3 permission, I would like us to go to, staying with letter 9, turn the page. We're going to go to chapter name change, research triangle. Yeah, I got that too, but I'll see it. I got it. It's not- I'll give the floor to Mr. Davis at this time.
Go. Walk slow. Walk slow.
Bill Davis, excuse me, Bill Davis, Vice President of the Southeast Region. Upon visiting the chapter in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, I was informed that they really, truly would like their name to more accurately reflect the region that they are in, and thus I submitted this request on their behest. Therefore, the change was submitted as a request, and they certainly support this position.
And the name is changed to?
Research Triangle Park. Research Triangle Park. I've had to complicate that before.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your cards. All opposed?
Rock and roll.
As of this moment, ladies and gentlemen, there are 5. I'm trying not to make a big thing of this. I'm really not. Just trying to get through this agenda. But as of this time, there are 3 people that are not delegates that are not here. 2 of them are from Region 5. 1 of them is from Region 4. So there are actually 5 regions that are not being affected at this time. Mr. West, acknowledged.
I will say I know one person of the 3, and he's not here due to a death in the family. So it could be certainly not lack of interest there in personal issues.
Okay. Richard, can you name who that was?
Steve Leiter, Nebraska chapter.
Region 4, Region 5. Patrick, you acknowledge.
Speaking in favor of changing the time, I would suggest allowing allowing an hour for the caucus meeting. This may allow time for our VPs to have a chance to update us or influence our behavior here. Just so there's enough. It always seems very rushed when it's at the normal time. Too rushed. So if we could change that to a full hour rather than 3/4 of an hour, if that's possible.
With this present agenda, Patrick, that is very possible.
Hi, Kathy Smith, LA chapter. I know one of the people we're waiting for is Kate Forrest from LA chapter, whose appointment's held up. She's due at 10:30. I know that I'm the delegate, she's the alternate. I know that she had something she wanted to add to the agenda for discussion. Other than that, I think we could wait. I mean, we can go ahead and cover.
Adding to the agenda would be out of scope at this point.
Right, I know. But yes. Well, that's something we can do later, or else skip it entirely. In other words, don't wait for Kate.
Or it can be done tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah, so if she's your third person, I would say go ahead and do all these.
I'm hoping that Mr. Power is struggling with a computer crash and has no idea when he's going to be here, probably tonight.
He's not in region 4 or 5. An alternate.
Mr. President, could I know who the other person from Region 5 is?
Jerry Decker.
Jerry Decker.
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Is that an issue?
No.
Okay. All right. Pardon me for a moment. I'm going to consult with the talking heads. I will ask this body if they would like to go to the letter 6, Roman numeral 6, the election of RVPs and the committee nominations at this time. We will need 2/3 to do that. All in favor of moving to the election of RVPs and committee nominations, please raise your cards. We will need 2/3. All opposed? The ayes have it. We will move to the election of RVPs and committee nominations. For 1 hour. I would like to have you back in session. Take an hour and 15.
Room assignments, sir?
Let's just make it 11 o'clock. Be back here at 11 o'clock. We have plenty of time. Barrel House bonding is going through the agenda.